Hello, good afternoon. This is like my first live stream here on my personal profile. I've never been so terrified by one. I've been doing live streams for like 3 years, and I don't think I've ever been as terrified as I am coming and speaking here where, my friends are. This should be the place where I feel safest. But I am kind of terrified because this potentially reaches more people than any of my other live streams do. So I'm just going to take a moment to just breathe a little bit and just see if anyone comes to join me. If you come in and join me, say hello, because then I know I'm not alone and talking to myself. But I wanted to talk to people who are a little bit stressed at the moment. Are you stressed at the moment? About this whole, suddenly having your children at home all the time without it being school holidays, because I get that it is a totally different it's a totally different ball game to the school holidays, because I know that you're still going to be having to provide education, which is a whole new idea. If you've sent your children to school by choice, then I get that it is a totally new thing to have to cope with, especially if you're having to work as well. So anyone who doesn't know, I am home educating on purpose. Have been for a very long time. Don't tell my eldest, I just called her very old. But I've been home educating literally forever. I knew when I was pregnant with Casey, who is 10, nearly 11, very nearly 11, that we were going to home educate. So I've been doing that literally since the get-go. I knew that we would be not sending her to school, and with that in mind, kind of knew. Fell into self-employment, I guess. So, but I've been doing that as well for 8 years. So, yeah. And does anybody have any specific things that they would like to know about? Because I get that this is a whole new situation, and I get that I'm just trying to get my video up in the background, because sometimes comments when you're doing live streams, they don't come through on phones. But I get that it's a totally different ball game to when you're choosing to home educate, where you're choosing your own timetable, and you're choosing. Often we do it via autonomous education. Lots and lots of home educators do it autonomously, following the children's lead. So I get that it's totally different if you've got your school is laying out learning packs and expecting you to stay with the national curriculum. But I just wanted to address really the idea that this is brand new, that it's a really stressful time anyway. If you're feeling stressed already, then I think my biggest tip right now is to just take a moment and breathe. The announcement to take kids out of school has happened very quickly. If you've still got to work, go out to work. There may be whole childcare issues. So first and foremost, I want to talk from my point of view as a holistic therapist about you, looking after you. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. We can talk about education and what you can do with your kids, and I will drop some resources and links and stuff over the course of the next day or 3 or 5 or 10, because there's loads and loads of free resources out there aside from what your school might be providing. There are tons and tons of resources, and what I've also found out in the last few weeks is that lots of educational places like museums and stuff are all providing extra resources too. There's an amazing link I must drop somewhere on Facebook about museums that are doing virtual tours, because loads of the museums are shutting down. I was in our town today, and the library stamped books out for the girls and said we might be closing. So if we're closed, don't worry about that date, they'll just automatically be renewed. And museums local Calderdale, I'm in Calderdale in West Yorkshire, and lots of the museums have been shut down now already. Small libraries have been shut down already, but the bigger libraries are just waiting to find out what the next step is. So yeah, but I wanted to talk about you today, first of all, as a parent or caregiver, because that's where my work lies. My work lies in supporting people with what they do, who they care for, who they look after. And I think that to start with, you need to just take a moment to breathe right now and not go into panic, because that isn't going to help your kids. That isn't going to help your kids if you've got to have them at home for the next, what is it? Is it like 3 months, 4 months? How long are people having to keep the kids at home at the moment? I don't know. I don't know, because my kids are always here. Is it, how long have they said? I think Scotland, whose summer holidays are a bit earlier, I think they've been told that their kids won't be going back till after the summer holidays, which feels like months away, but I guess it's, 3 months? Where are we? March, April, May, June. 3 months, 4 months. 3 months till school holidays up in Scotland. How long is it? Help me out, guys. How long are your kids going to be off school? Or is it currently just till Easter? Scotland. We have a bit of a disappointment here because we're supposed to be going to Scotland next month. And at the moment it looks like we probably won't be doing. So, yeah, this is the child that wants to go to Scotland. This is my friends list, not my page. This is actually my personal profile and not my business page. She might be brave enough. She is brave enough. She is brave enough. Yeah. So this one's a bit disappointed. We probably won't be going to Scotland. We're going to Scotland for this one in April. We're going to Scotland in April for that one. Who seems desperate to go to Scotland? Yeah. Okay. Can I carry on? Thank you. Yeah. She says go. She says go back there. So. Yeah. So how long are the children off school? If it is going to be till September here in England, or August up in Scotland, where else in the world are you? I've got friends all over the world. How long are your children off school? Because if they're off school for months, if it is going to be 2-3 months, if it's going to be 8, 10, 12 weeks, you've got time to just take a moment and breathe. You've got time to just take a moment and process the chaos that we've all been thrown into, because your kids are going to be as affected by what is going on as we are. Possibly, while they may hide it better, more, because they're kids and they trust us as their people, as their grown-ups, to be like the safety and security. And if we're feeling a little bit like we don't know what the fuck is going on, then it is going to affect them. So expect behaviour changes, expect resistance to do the schoolwork that you're going to be telling them to do, because they're not used to doing schoolwork at home. They're not used to doing what they do at school at home. And I've seen friends already saying, my kids are refusing to do it, my kids are saying they don't want to do it, my kids aren't like cooperating, which causes more stress for you as a mum or dad or caregiver, causes you more anxiety and more worry, because you think you've got to get them to do the work. And I think some schools are a little bit, this is new for schools as well. So schools are sending out resources and learning packs and saying you've got to get your kids to do it.
UK have been shut down. I got a notification for it.
Okay. All right.
On my tablet.
All right.
Wow.
Okay. So. Yeah, the schools don't know what is going on. The schools don't know what they're doing, and I think it's all just a little bit insane at the moment with nobody knowing what they're supposed to be doing. So at least give yourself a break until Monday. We're like close to the end of the week, aren't we? So if your kids have already finished school, give yourself a break. Give it till Monday to just spend some time with them. Just like you would in the school holidays, just like you would at any other time if they were off school, if they're off school sick, if you're off school with school holidays, anything else. Just give it a little bit of time. Just give it a little bit of time for them to process. So when we, as home educators, not us personally, because mine never went to school, but when people choose to take their children out of school for various reasons, it can be because the school is letting them down, it can be because they're being bullied, it can be because there's other things, it can be because the parents have decided, no, we'd rather keep our kids at home. We often encourage parents who are taking their kids out of school on purpose to spend some time just adapting to the changing circumstances, and I don't see why that should be any different if it is something that you're having to do because of circumstances, that you not give them a little bit of time and a little bit of space. Think about what it is that you do during the school holidays and what do your kids do during the school holidays, because if they sort of spend the school holidays doing that, and I know it's like really hard because you can't go and do maybe some of the things that you do with them in the school holidays, but I think like the National Trust are opening up their places to go to. If you're near enough to a National Trust place to get out, if you have places that you can get out to, if you have a garden, get out, get some gardening done, because that is really good for your emotional and mental health as well, being outside, being in nature. We might not be able to go and do things indoors, and we might not want to go to the parks with all the slides and stuff, but there's no reason to not get outside and sort of spend some time connecting and grounding with our kids in that way. So right now in this moment, my suggestions are to just give it a day or two. I think I'll touch on this now. Also, whatever, I know I saw something saying about a school who was saying that they had to like go and log on to the school at like before 9 a.m. and be like registered and like be in a school day still. School work, learning, education doesn't just have to happen during 8:45 to 3:30 p.m. It doesn't. If your kids are the kind of kids that like to learn, they probably learn all sorts of other times too. And this is what, as home educating families, we tend to do. Learning happens all the time. And even when your kids go to school, learning happens all the time. They're learning if they're, doing even things like Minecraft, even things like computer games can teach all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Baking, what else? Gardening, I've already mentioned. If you've got like things that you do DIY that needs doing around the house, I think I was reading about a family who are going to decorate while the kids are off school. Do things like that, because they're life skills which are going to stand your kids in good stead forever. Right in this moment, before you get to the point where maybe from Monday, you're right now we might try and find some sort of structure to do the schoolwork that has been asked of us to do. And I think as well, because there's no like uniform plan for everyone, every school has chosen to do something different, as well as the fact that every educational board has like different ideas of what you do and what you don't do and how you do it and when you do it. It really is going to be dependent on what your school says. So some of what I'm going to say will be relevant for everybody, and some it will depend on what your school. And I'd love, if you're watching this on a replay, I'd love to know what your schools are saying for you to do, because some seem a little bit far-fetched, like expecting the kids to log on. I know that it was giving the impression that they were having to, like, each child would have to log on and stay logged onto the system. But like, if you've only got like one device, one computer, one tablet, one whatever, how does, if you've got 3 kids and one device, how can they all be logged onto the system at the same time? They can't. So I think maybe some schools really don't know what they're doing either. And so I think that's why I'm suggesting get through the weekend and just see if you've got to log onto a system, then you'll have to log onto a system. my inclination, the rebel in me, says log onto the system and go out for the day. Out as much as you can go out. Depends on how self-isolating you're choosing to be. But like, log on to the system if that's what you've got to do. Download anything that you've got to download. The other thing is that often what might take like an hour, 2 hours to do at school, with all the distractions and all the noise and the having to wait for a teacher to come and see stuff, can be done in a fraction of the time when it's just you and a child. Even if it's you and 2 or 3 children, it can be done in a fraction of the time. And it's you may find it easier to do it at a time of day that might seem unusual. I've got 3 children. They're all very different. Some of them want to be like doing stuff early on in the day. Others are like more like later on in the day. And so you might be able then to split yourself in between like 2 or 3 children and do something for one of them early on in the day and something later on with another one, because they're so unique and individual. But for now, my very first suggestion is to just take a moment and breathe. Take a moment to assess what you actually know right now in this moment. What do you know? Your kids can't go to school anymore till we don't know when. Could be as late as September. Maybe they'll have them going I don't know, maybe they'll ask them to go back to school and not have a summer holiday. Who knows? But if it is going to be like right till September, then you've definitely got time to just take a moment, sit back, take a break, have a rest, connect with your children, because right now as well, they need that connection, and look after you. So for now, work out what it is that you know as a mum or a dad or a caregiver. Work out what you know right now in this moment. Do you have somewhere that you are safe in? A house? You know that. Do you have enough food in? Hopefully. To last you for the weekend. Dare I mention toilet rolls? Do you have what you need right now in this moment to get through the next 2 or 3 days? And look after you, whether you're mum, dad, caregiver, whoever you are, grandparent who's maybe got to look after because mum or dad still have to go to work. Take some time to make sure you know what's going on with you. So I'm going to strongly suggest that you focus on... She's not creeping in the room very well, is she? What do you want?
Tell me 2 names beginning with A that are not Ace.
Boys or girls?
Boys.
Adam. And Alfie.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, where was I up to? Self-care. You cannot fill somebody else up from an empty cup. If you are draining yourself out, especially if you're having to work at home as well, then you are going to really struggle to keep them and this is why then stresses happen and arguments happen, and you find yourself tearing your hair out and yelling at the kids, and they're yelling at you, and everybody ends up crying because you're trying to fill them up whilst you are on empty. And we tend to do that a lot as mums. Sorry, dads. as the female caregivers, we tend to be inclined to do a lot of that anyway, of giving and giving and giving of ourselves. It's a bit of a feminine issue, I think, that we do this. That maybe is changing along with a lot of other things on the planet, that we are finding that when we look after ourselves and when we put ourselves first, not in any neglectful, selfish way, but by making sure that we are well nourished, we are well rested, that we have some sort of practice in place that nurtures any spirituality we feel we have, which could cover anything from like, if you're a believer in God and go to church, having your moment to pray or your moment to read a scripture. It could be having a moment to meditate, spend some time going inside yourself to tune into where you are right now. And just right now, spend some time making sure that you are drinking enough water, have got enough like nourishing food to eat, not things that are going to make you feel crap if you're going to eat them. I am like all for eating all the food and seeing all the food as nourishing, but I know that is obviously not how everybody feels about all the food. But if you feel like you need to have a bar of chocolate a day to keep you sane, have a bar of chocolate. Don't beat yourself up now over breaking the diet or whatever, because there's enough stress going on, and the stress will affect your physical health as well. The stress will, if you allow it to get you down, will affect your physical health too, which lowers your immunity, which we all know right now, we kind of want to get our immunity up there and boosted and be well under the current climate and the current situation. So... you can tell which one of my kids is the performer by the one who keeps coming and like invading. She is such a performer, and yet she is terrified. Such a performer, and yet she is so. They're all different. I swear to God. Yeah. What? Yeah, she's such a performer. So my first tip for today. I'm telling you that the first thing and best thing that you can do for your kids while they're off school and for yourself while you've got work is to find your own way to look after yourself. So that's tip number one. I'm going to pop on every day with some like little bits of support and help and information. My broadcast got paused. Let me just see if I'm on. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Sometimes my Wi-Fi in my house is a bit iffy, and sometimes if I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, it goes off. But I'm not. I'm on my mobile data, so who knows? So tip number one, self-care. Find yourself a nourishing way to look after you. It might mean getting up half an hour early. If you've not got to get your kids ready for school and for the school run, maybe you can let them sleep a little bit later if they're naturally inclined to, and you get up and you sit down and you chill with a cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever it is, your chosen beverage, and something to... I'm a massive fan of journaling. And that is what I do with my morning. And I will sit and I will journal where I am, where I've woken up, how I'm feeling at that. Good? Does it feel like a good day? Does it feel like a bad day? How do I feel? And it's a great way to write out all these fears, all of these anxieties, all of this right now that you're feeling. It's a great time to write it out and let it go, because you can't change anything right now in this situation. You can't change what is happening if you've been told your kids can't go to school, if you've been told you can't go to work, you can't change anything. So releasing the anxiety around that will really, really benefit you. And just, find some time to do some things for you. Tune into what you need as a parent, as a caregiver, because when we do that, we actually are able to show up better for our kids, for anyone else that we've got to look after. As well as that, we might have elderly parents that you've got to go and do things for, go try and find some shopping for. So just right now, for the next few days, just take a pause. Don't try and push anything. And if the kids are resisting the schoolwork, maybe let them. Don't lynch me, but maybe let them resist their schoolwork, and just for a moment try and find out what's going on for them, because there's lots of stuff going on for them as well, especially if they're being told that they can't see their friends for who knows how many weeks. If that's a massive part of their school, what they enjoy about going to school, just give them a chance to take a break and have some time to themselves. So maybe over the weekend, watch some movies together. What's their favourite movie? Sit and watch your favourite movie with them. If they have a favourite computer game and you normally limit the amount of time they're allowed to spend on computers and stuff, maybe sit with them and play the game with them. If there's other games that they like, maybe sit with them and play with them. If they play other things, maybe sit with them and play with them, because it's during those times that they may then say, what's going on? I'm really it's the same child. Her favourite game at the moment is Cattails, which is on Steam. She plays that on Steam, and she's just been playing the game her dad plays. Her dad's been playing a game called Eve online, which is spaceships conquering the universe, and he's been playing that for ages, years and years and years and years and years. 11 years. And she's just got herself some characters on that as well. Spend some time with them, finding out what they want to do, bake with them, and that will probably help you as well. That will help you if it is something that you enjoy doing. It will help you as well. That's it. I'm going to go and I'm going to pop back tomorrow. And if anyone has any questions or any specific things that they'd like to know more about, they'd like any of the links, resources to any of the online educational systems that are in place, there's some amazing ones, and I think a lot of them that do monthly subscriptions that lots of home educators use are also waiving fees or reducing fees during this period of time. And because we're there's global stuff, it's easy to get. That's why there's loads of resources, because globally there's so many different ways of doing homeschooling and home education that there's resources from all over the world that you can tap into and use. So self-care, look after you, and be in a place of helping your children by helping you. Catching this on the replay, then do #replay. That helps me know who's watched it on the replay. And ask me any questions that you think might be able to help with. I've also got loads of home educating friends as well who might be able to offer other solutions that I don't, because we're autonomous family. We do what is called, which is where they totally follow their own interests and education happens naturally. They've learnt to read organically the same way they learnt to walk and talk in their own time, in their own way. And I've got one who learnt to read at 8 and one who learnt to read at 6 and one who's close to learning to read at 5 in a way that they were so different to if they'd have gone to school, and then they've been learning to read at 5, 4, 5, and they've all learnt in their own way. I've got one who sits and does graphics on a phone. I've got one who's writing stories using Google Docs, and I've got one who's obsessed with wild animals and currently learns loads of stuff from playing a game called Wildcraft. She can tell me more about animals than I know. She also loves watching a YouTube channel about snakes, so I foresee snakes in my future when we get a bigger house. They're obsessed with animals.
I like snakes too.
I know you do. And yeah, there's just so many ways to educate your children. So sometimes if it's because your kids coming out of school, you may want to have more structure because they're going to go back into school. So you may want to follow and obviously if you've got to follow a school's whatever they've set out for you, then I do know of friends who follow a more structured school way. So maybe I can, if you need that help, I can find one or two of those friends to come and help you. But I'm going to go, and I will be here tomorrow. And any questions that you've got in the meantime, drop them in a comment somewhere or PM me. If you don't want to drop them in a comment, I want to keep them private because I'm going to make this video public so that I've commented, mentioned in a few of the groups that I'm in, business groups that I'm in, that I'm going to do these live streams. I didn't want to do it live public, even though I've got a live public on my page all the time. I didn't want to do this public. So if you don't want any, if you would rather ask questions privately, you can ask privately and I will answer them and not mention any names. So let's get some bets. But yeah, thank you. There's a few of you out there. I hope nobody's commented. I'm getting no comments anywhere. So if nobody's commented, if you've commented and I've not said anything, I'm really sorry. I'm just not seeing any comments. And if you've not commented, why? Because I feel like I've talked to myself, but I haven't, because I know you're out there listening, and I know that someone will come along in the future who needs to see this, and it would and what they need to be reassured on at the right time. So I'm going to see you all tomorrow. Bye.